What is the impact you, the dent in the universe, you want to make 5, 10, 20 years from now? Can you think of a mentor that impacted you in such a way that the ripple effects still make your life and who you are who you are? For me, I think of a guy named Mike Vance, a meeting I had back in the late 90s. Mike was the first dean of the Disney University. He basically was in charge of ideas and people development for Walt Disney during Walt's time. He mentored and worked with Steve Jobs. He worked with Jack Welch. He was friends with Mother Teresa. His depth and perspective of the way he saw the world was extraordinary. Walt Disney called him the most creative man he had ever been with. And I had an opportunity to spend several hours with him in Miami while I was in a crossroad looking for some leadership, looking for some guidance. And I remember as clear as day sitting down with him thinking, I'm about to spend this time with this person that's done so much, impacted so much, worked with so many people. What are the most important questions I want to ask? And I listed out 21 different questions. The very first question was, what did they all have in common? The Mike Vances, the Walt Disneys, the Mother Teresas, the Jack Welches, working with the CEO of AT&T, the CEO of American Airlines. What did they all have in common? And Mike was this big guy, big energy, 6'4", big hair, big personality. And he said, Tom, it's so simple. They've all answered the 5 fundamental questions, and what they do is they live by them. And I remember thinking, this is not in my order. What are the 5 questions, and what do you mean that they all answered these 5 questions and they live by them? Mike was a great synthesizer, right? He had the ability to take all these data points and then codify it into like an action plan, something that everybody could do. And when he gave me the 5 questions, he said, Tom, number 1, they're all clear on their purpose. Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you on this planet? And what he said was, everybody only has a small amount of time. You got to get clear on what your purpose is. And I said, man, could you have started with an easier question, right? It's such a big question for people. What is your purpose? Why are you here? Whether that's professionally or personally or your whole life. And I said, why does that matter? He said, everyone needs a North Star. He said, there's too many people on this planet that don't know why they're here, don't know what they're doing. And you know what? They complain all the time and they end up having a miserable experience, but it's their fault because they never decided. Second question, he said, what are your God-given talents? And I thought, yeah, right? And he said, you got to do your talents. You got to surround yourself with the people that have amazing talents, like a winning basketball team or a football team or a soccer team. You assemble that team together, and anything is possible. But you got to know your strengths. And then he said, listen, your strengths need to be impactful. In business, they got to be able to generate revenue. They got to be able to lead people and move people to do extraordinary things. And I was like, got it. He goes, and they all had that in droves. And then I said, well, what was the third question? He said, the third question is, they all were able to figure out their values. And I thought, oh, I don't need another seminar on let's get your mission statement and your values. He said, no, Tom, what we would call it today in business, your decision-making process. I'm like, oh, Google, Facebook, all of these extraordinary businesses that have talked about the decision process that they use to move the business forward. Being client-centric as an example, right? Does this serve the customer, yes or no? And then it made sense. He said they all understood what they valued as a business, as human beings, and that was their decision-making process. Then he said to me, number 4, for me, the most important question, because it was what I was looking for. It was what I was yearning for in that meeting. He said, they all answered the question, what is the experience they're having and the impact they're having in the world 5, 10, 20 years from now? What is the impact you, the dent in the universe, you want to make 5, 10, 20 years from now? He said they were all crystal clear on it. Think of Steve Jobs, right? Think of Walt Disney. And look, you may say, but Tom, those people they're like these folklore heroes of business. But you know what? Like a pastor can have it, a mother can have it, a father can have it, a kid can have it, someone in college can have it, you can have it. It's about just declaring, this is where I want to be. This is what my life's going to look like in 20 years. This is going to be the impact that I'm going to have on the universe, whether that is my business, my street, my team, or the world, right? It's deciding how you want it to be versus complaining how it isn't. And then he said to me something I had never heard before. He said, they've all figured out who they needed to be because no one had built a company like Apple. No one had built a company like Disney, right? Jack Welch, Harold Janine had built a conglomerate prior to him, ITT Sheraton Corporation, but nobody had done it the way that he had done it. And he said, they all figured out, who do they need to be? And I was like, I have been trained and conditioned for years to think, what do I need to do? It was the first time I heard, who do I need to be as a leader? Who do I need to be as a consultant? Who do I need to be as a client? Who do I need to be as a teammate? And articulating and answering those questions, it changed everything. Today, I'm doing exactly what I said I was going to be doing when I answered those questions on the plane ride back from Miami. My question for you is, who's the mentor that touched you the most? What was the assignment? What did they ask you to do? And if not then maybe this moment. Maybe you don't just watch this video, as you're flipping through your day or getting started on a Monday or Tuesday, but maybe you take your notepad out or your Evernote and you write down the questions and you noodle on it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then you do something about it. And then call me in 20 years and let me know how it worked out. See you soon.